Hello and Tashi Delek. Welcome back to the Dharma Talk in English. I'll skip the formalities and we'll just dive right into the topic. So last week we discussed on the importance of checking our intention when we engage in Dharma practice. We have the tendency to make everything about this life, and that's why we spend most of our time pursuing worldly goals. So it is safe to say that we can at least let go of that obsession when we are engaging in spiritual practice. Otherwise, it will contaminate our virtuous practices and thereby automatically disqualify our practices as Dharma practice. So the point is that our intention when we engage in any practice, our intention must at least include concerns about the next life. So that's what we have discussed so far. So today we will look at some of the definitions of the word Dharma and then their implications. So first of all, the term Dharma is a Sanskrit word which literally means to hold. So what does it mean? So in our context, it means to hold one from falling into the abyss of lower realms. So according to this definition, Dharma practice is something that can prevent us from falling into the abyss of three lower realms. Right now, we are all alive, but sooner or later, the death will come knocking at our door. Eventually, we all have to die. When the time comes, our body may be cremated, may be buried, so we have to leave our body behind. But our consciousness continues to move on, and we need to take another life, another birth. And we don't have the freedom. It is determined by our past actions. So from our action at the moment, we can kind of judge where we all are most likely to be born. We know that most of us do not have the certainty or the confidence that we will not be born in the lower realms. So, what is one thing that can ascertain a good rebirth? Chandrakirti says that so which means there is no other causes to achieve good rebirth other than practicing ethical discipline. So ethical discipline is the main cause of rebirth in higher realms. So I believe that this definition has a very strong implication, which is that whatever virtuous practice we do, in order for that to qualify as a Dharma practice, all that virtuous practice must be built on the foundation of ethical discipline. If we lack that foundation, no matter how great our virtues are, it will not guarantee a good rebirth. Even if we engage in such an extreme practice of generosity, but if we do not observe our vows, or if we do not observe restraining ourselves from the 10 non-virtue, we will be just born a very wealthy, very rich Naga. So that's why we know that Nagas are known to be very wealthy. So this highlights the importance of practicing ethical discipline. There are many types of ethical discipline, but the minimum requirement is for us to refrain from the 10 non-virtue. So when it comes to ethical discipline, it is not just about not engaging in that particular action. It is about intentional determination, making conscious decision. For example, in the morning, to make this conscious decision that today I will not engage in 10 non-virtuous actions. Otherwise, we do not enjoy the benefit of observing the ethical disciplines of refraining from the 10 non-virtue. Like trees, houses, rocks, they do not engage in any of the 10 non-virtue. They do not engage in killing. They do not engage in the action of stealing. They do not commit any sexual misconduct. But we do not say that houses and trees and rocks practice ethical discipline. The reason is simply because of lacking that intentional decision. So it is so important to always generate that conscious decision, that intention to stay away from the 10 non-virtue. Many of us do not engage in many of the 10 non-virtue. Unfortunately, we fail to generate that conscious intention. We do not reap the benefit. So it's such a waste. So it is so important that every morning make this conscious decision. You can go through one by one the 10 of those 10 non-virtue, and then see which are the ones that you can abide by, or you can stay away from. You can restrain yourself from committing any of the 10 non-virtue. So whichever you think that you can do, then make this conscious decision from the morning. So that way, that day, if you have not engaged in any of that, you get the benefit. You get the benefit of observing the ethical discipline, of refraining from the 10 non-virtue. So when we do that, then this will align well with the definition of Tibetan word chö, to transform. So chö literally means to transform. So you can see how it flows from the verse. So when we observe the ethical discipline of the refraining from the 10 non-virtue, then we will be able to bring transformation to our physical, verbal, and mental actions. For example, when we decide not to engage in the three physical non-virtue, such as killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. So when we take that decision and when we refrain ourselves from engaging in these actions, so we are bringing the change. We are bringing the transformation. We are no longer now the person who engages in this. Same goes with verbal and mental actions. If you are the person who likes to engage in gossips, who likes to engage in harsh speech, who likes to engage in divisive speech, who likes to tell lies. So when you make the conscious decision to avoid engaging in this, then you bring transformation to your verbal action. You are no longer that person who lies freely, who engages in divisive speech, who cannot control using harsh speech. So Dharma practice, the implication here is that Dharma practice must bring transformation. Sometimes we forget this. We spend so much time, so much energy, put so much effort in studying, listening to Dharma teachings, but year after year gone by, but there is not a slightest transformation. So that shows that we didn't really understand the meaning of Dharma or what Chö means. So I always tell people, of course I myself don't have any real practice, so sometimes I feel very shy to say this, but I say it anyway, that it is so important to really try our best to apply Dharma into our life. It doesn't matter whether you know or understand a lot or not, but whatever little we understand, we should always try to implement. That way, our studying of Dharma serves a purpose, becomes a meaningful. Then it will align with the definition of Chö, because we are able to bring transformation, even if that transformation is a very tiny one, but at least it has brought some transformation. So we must remember that the whole purpose of studying and all this is not about gaining intellectual knowledge. Other studies is different from other studies. When you study other topics, of course it's mainly about gaining intellectual knowledge. But when it comes to studying Dharma, it is not about intellectual knowledge. It is really about bringing changes. So that's why another definition is an antidote to afflictive emotions. Whatever little we understand, whatever little insight we gain from studying Dharma, we have to make sure that that serves as an antidote to afflictive emotions. At the moment, we are filled with all these afflictive emotions: anger, jealousy, greed, hatred, attachment, whatnot. But through studying, we have to bring in the antidotes. We have to develop the corresponding antidotes. For example, if you have anger issue, then try to develop the one that counters anger, which is a loving kindness and patience. So sometimes we forget that Dharma practice is to attack our inner enemy, which is the afflictive emotions. And we became a kind of, our knowledge, our understanding of Dharma serve as a fuel to aggravate the afflictions within us. So that really destroys the purpose of studying Dharma. I think you must have come across some people who are very knowledgeable, who are scholars in all fields of Buddhist studies, but so arrogant, full of pride. So what does that tell you? So the person failed to understand the meaning of Dharma. All that knowledge did not really serve the real purpose. So we should always avoid not to become like such person. So this one, the antidote to afflictive emotion, we can link that to what we said last week about concerned only about this life. So when we have that concern for our life, it is all about attachment. Because of our attachment to this life, we have all these desires. We engage in practices to fulfill those desires in relation to this life. So when we do that, we are fueling. When we practice any Dharma in order to fulfill the desire, fulfill our desire for this life, then it actually fuels, it boosts, it energizes our attachment. So that is counter to what Dharma is supposed to be. Dharma is supposed to counter, supposed to be the antidote to the afflictive emotions such as attachment. So our obsession over this life is contrary to what Dharma is supposed to be. So now that we have covered these various definitions of Dharma, let's now analyze. Let's now put under scrutiny of our intention to coming to these Dharma talks. What is the reason? If I were to ask you, why did you join this group, Shenpen Chuling? Why are you investing so much time? So imagine that I ask you these questions. Now think about it. Ask yourself, why? Why am I here? So I will give you 3-4 reasons and see which one you fall into. So the first reason is that I wanted to achieve enlightenment. I wanted to help liberate mother sentient beings. These sentient beings had been my mother at one time, and when they were mother at that time, they have been extremely kind to me the way this mother have been. So I cannot bear to see them suffering. So I wanted to provide them the lasting happiness. I wanted to liberate them from this suffering and provide them the lasting happiness. But at the moment, I don't have that capability. Only when I become enlightenment, I will be able to do that. So in order to help these mother sentient beings, I need to achieve enlightenment. For this, I need to know how to achieve that. So that's why I'm here to study. That's reason one. Reason number two, I see that as long as I am under the control of delusion and karma, I will never experience lasting happiness. So I really need to sever the ties to this samsara. So as long as, let me rephrase, until I achieve liberation, nirvana, I will never be at peace. So for that reason, I need to achieve liberation. I need to become arhat. So in order to achieve that, I need to understand the paths leading to arhathood. So that's why I'm here to study. That's reason number two. So the reason number three is that, at the moment I am alive, but I may die any time. When the death comes, I don't know where I will be born. Most likely I will be born in lower realms. So I better ensure that I don't fall into the abyss of the three lower realms. So I need to ensure a good rebirth in future. So I need to study. With that understanding, I can practice and I can ensure a good rebirth. So that's the reason number three. And then reason number four, I have so much difficulties. I met so many challenges in this life. I've tried this and this and this and that, but I couldn't find a solution. I'm tired of this life. Maybe Dharma have something to offer. Maybe I can find a solution to this life. Maybe through understanding Dharma, I can be happy in this life. So I need to study. Or maybe, when I study, I will gain lots of knowledge and then I will be famous. People will praise me. People will give me recognition. So and so. So given these four scenarios, where does your motivation fall? So if your motivation falls under the first category, number one, that's really great. You are really motivated by this altruistic intention. And then the second one is also good. Third one, of course. But the number four, that is what we are trying to avoid. So that really contaminates, that really stains our practice. So since we are already spending so much time, why not make it a Dharma practice? Why waste all that effort and time? So from these topics, we should really make sure that when we listen to Dharma, when we engage in any Dharma practice, make sure that our practice and our time is spent on Dharma practice. So I will stop here for today and we will continue next week. Thank you.